We are here today to have an introduction to Epi Reviewer Web. Now, I know that some of you are complete beginners to Epi Reviewer, and some of you have already been using Epi Reviewer 4 extensively, as well as having used Epi Reviewer Web a little bit. So I do apologise ahead of time if some of this is a little bit repetitive for you. So just to start off, give you a bit of an idea of who I am so that you can understand where I'm coming from with this presentation. As I said, my name's Melissa Bond. I was a high school teacher back in Australia for 10 years before I moved to Germany to work at the University of Oldenburg in the north of Germany. So I'm just going to let more people in as we go. And I undertook my PhD there in education, and in particular educational technology and student engagement, which I defended in July. And I only joined UCL in February of this year. And my first introduction to Epi Reviewer was actually as a researcher undertaking a project in Germany 3 years ago. So I'm coming at Epi Reviewer from a very user perspective, which I know can be a little bit different than some of my colleagues. In terms of systematic reviews, I have undertaken quite a few myself. For example, artificial intelligence, student engagement and educational technology. I'm very interested in flipped learning. And generally my reviews are coming from a more qualitative perspective with qualitative syntheses. I'm currently undertaking another couple of reviews, one on the Community of Inquiry framework, and I'm also doing a scoping review of studies that have used Epi Reviewer because it's not just used for systematic reviews and meta-analyses. There are also other types of analyses that can be undertaken with our software. And also looking at studies that are investigating higher education during these COVID times as well. Yeah, just a little bit of background about myself and a little warning, I guess, about the fact that I do tend to get quite excited about Epi Reviewer and being able to share my knowledge with you. So I apologise if I get a little bit overexcited. So Epi Reviewer was created to support the work at the Epi Centre. It is web-based, which means that you don't need to download it. You can access it from any device that has an internet connection. It was developed for all types of systematic review, but it was also designed for flexibility, which means that it doesn't have a prescripted preset way of how you should use it and what you should use it for, which I think makes it a really powerful tool for being able to conduct a whole range of analyses. It does help, obviously, by keeping your review process really explicit and replicable. It enables you to work in review teams and not just on your own personal reviews, but also in teams. It keeps your data in one place. It does allow you to update your review, and as we're going forward, we're working a lot with Microsoft academic team, looking at bringing the power of Microsoft Academic Graph into Epi Reviewer so that you can set it up to be able to provide updates. So, for example, whenever they do an update of the academic database, weekly or bi-weekly, it's able to automatically identify any studies that might be important for your review. And that can make keeping your review or even a living systematic review easily updatable and up to date. We also enable the easy creation of interactive evidence gap maps, and I will actually introduce you briefly to that towards the end of the presentation. So today I'm wanting to focus on some of the really basic administrative sides of Epi Reviewer, but also some of the a little bit more advanced features that we have going on. So to begin with, I'm going to start with the admin and accessing help within Epi Reviewer. As I said before, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to unmute yourself and jump in, as I'm not able to see the conversation screen at the minute. So this is the Epi Reviewer gateway, and this is often where you would come to be able to log into Epi Reviewer. But it does also have a range of other features for you to be able to support your use of Epi Reviewer. So for example, we do have the support forum, which is accessible via the gateway here. And whenever, for example, I think it was yesterday or the day before, we had an update of Epi Reviewer that came through. And whenever we do that, we make sure that we post some information on our forum as well as on our Twitter account to be able to let you know and keep you up to date with all of the new features that any updates to Epi Reviewer and what features are available. We also have our user manual and frequently asked questions section, which can be found under the manuals tab there on the homepage, as well as a range of instructional videos. We do also have a risk export facility. So if you weren't able to export your items from a database using that risk export functionality, you are actually able to use the gateway. And sorry, I'm just going back to my presentation. You are able to use that risk export facility through the gateway to be able to create a risk file to import into Epi Reviewer. And we also have our account manager, which is where you would manage any of the administrative side of Epi Reviewer for either yourself or your team. So this is the account manager tab here, and this is what you'll see when you click on it. And here you can log into the account manager just using your Epi Reviewer username and password. If you forget your username or your password at any time, you can always come to this account manager and reset them. If you or any of your colleagues need to create a new account, you can do that here as well. And if you need to activate that new account once you've created it, then you can do that through the link there if you didn't receive an email. So once you've logged into the Account and Review Manager, you can edit and see your account details by clicking on the Edit button here. You can see and edit your private non-shareable reviews. And so non-shareable reviews, once you have an account with us, you can create as many non-shareable reviews as you like. There isn't currently a delete feature because we don't want to accidentally have someone, permanently lose their data. But we do have a way of being able to hide reviews from you if you really, really desperately needed it. But at the moment, they will stay there. And you can also see down the bottom any other reviews that you're a member of. You can also edit your review's name at any point. You would just need to click edit, and then you can come here and edit the title and click save. If you are wanting to activate priority screening on any of your reviews, you can do so here by clicking on. You can also invite other people to your to a shareable review. Now, in a normal situation, we do allow within a trial month, if you've signed up for a trial account, we do allow a month trial of a shareable review, and that's where you've got more than one person in a review undertaking the review together. But normally that would require you to purchase access to that shareable review, which is £35 per month. But once you've set that up, you can then send an invitation to other people by clicking on that button there. And then you can also set roles for the other people in your review. So if you didn't want someone to have access to all of the features of a review for any given reason, say for example they were a research assistant employed to just undertake some screening or some coding for you, then you could select the coding only option so that they're only able to access the coding only user interface. I do want to point out that we are increasing the number of instructional videos for Epi Reviewer, and in particular for Epi Reviewer Web, and they are available on our YouTube page, but you can also access them through the Epi Reviewer Gateway that I mentioned earlier. I haven't currently got one available for managing duplicates, but I am working on it. And where possible throughout this presentation, I've also added links to the videos dealing with that specific feature of Epi Reviewer as well, so that if you're looking at it in the future, you'll be able to find them easily. If you're needing some assistance once you've logged into Epi Reviewer Web, you are actually able to click on the help button at the top of any of the screens, and we have this contextualized help feature that will open up that will walk you through, show you some of the features that are available on that particular page. Some of them are static images, but there are also some GIFs that will take you through step by step how to do things. Alternatively, you can always email us, which unfortunately for some reason I can't see down the bottom of the screen, but you are able to email us at any time, episupport@ucl.ac.uk if you have any help-related questions. This feedback button that you can see up at the top of the screen is really only for helping us to help develop Epi Reviewer Web further. So if you've got any ideas for what we could do to change the way that it looks or change the way that it works to better assist users, then please don't hesitate to click that feedback button and let us know. But if you're looking for further assistance, again, please do email us. Okay, so in terms of logging in and navigating Epi Reviewer Web, it works, the beauty of Epi Reviewer Web as opposed to our other version, Epi Reviewer 4, is that it works with more modern browsers, which means that you don't have to worry about installing Silverlight anymore, which I know was a major bugbear for a lot of people. So for example, I really liked using Firefox for using Epi Reviewer Web, but I know that Safari and Chrome are also really successful for other people. It does also work on web-enabled devices. So for example, if you had a smartphone or a tablet, it can be very effective, particularly when you're screening items, to be able to sit there with your device and use that to screen. It does use the same data as Epi Reviewer 4. So if you've got members of your review who prefer to work with Epi Reviewer 4, you can have some people of your review working with ER4 and some working with ER Web. Absolutely no problem. The data is the same. It's just how they're seeing the software. So too, if you wanted to switch between the two versions, just make sure that you log out before you log into the next one. And wherever you finished on the first one, you will pick up at the same point on the second one. So that's absolutely fine in terms of interchanging which platform that you use. It's based on the same technology as Gmail and Google Docs, which again really helps in terms of touch devices, but it is still in development. So as we had the most recent update, updates do occur regularly, but we do try to let you know in advance when that's going to happen. As you can see on the screen where it says status normal, last code update, that's where we would provide a little indicator to you that we've got a service interruption coming. So just keep your eye on the bottom screen from time to time, just in case we do have any more updates. But hopefully, you know, new and fantastic and more powerful features are coming, and we are making many moves to make the features of Epi Reviewer Web just as powerful and as complete as that available in Epi Reviewer 4. Logging in is really easy. Head to this link. I will just point out that it's really important that where possible you try to click on a fresh link or type in a fresh link into your browser, because sometimes if you start typing in Epi Reviewer into your browser, it may come up with an old link where you didn't log out properly, and that will result in an error message. So if that happens to you, just close down the browser, try and click on a fresh link, and it should work. So once you've clicked login, you will be shown this welcome page. In order to get into one of your reviews, you just click on one of the blue review names, or you can click on the coding UI button to be taken to the coding only interface. Now, a hot tip here is that if for some reason you log in and the review name is grayed out and it's not in blue, this means that you have coding only access. And so you will have to click on the coding UI button in order to get in and be able to screen or code. If that's an issue and you think that's a problem, please contact your review administrator in the first instance. And if you still have issues, then you contact us at Epi Support. So this is what you see when you log into the home screen. This overview here at the top provides you with a really quick overview of the number of items in your review, including the number of included items, the number of excluded items, the number of deleted and duplicate items. You can also create a new review from within Epi Reviewer Web when you're logged in by clicking on this Create Review button. In terms of the what some of you might have known from Epi Reviewer 4 from the info panel, some of that information is now available here. If you click on that, so if I go back one slide before, we have these panels available here. If you click on the My Reviews panel, this will list the reviews that you have access to. In order to switch reviews once you're logged in, all you need to do is click on the blue name and it will take you directly to that other review. Same too, if you wanted to access the coding only interface of any of the reviews, you just click on the coding UI button. If you click on the sources panel on the Epi Reviewer Web home screen, it will list all of the sources that you have included in your review, including any imports that you've done through the PubMed tab or any manually created items. It will also list how many items are located within those imports and how many duplicates were found within those particular lists of items. If you found that you accidentally imported a list of items that you don't want in your review anymore, this is the place that you would come to delete them on bulk, I suppose you could say. And you would just need to click the delete button there. This coding progress panel shows the different coding tools that you have within the review. Now in Epi Reviewer 4, we would call these code sets, but we're trying to call them coding tools in this new version. So screening tools are displayed in green, and they are only able to include codes that are inclusion or exclusion only, and you can only use one level of hierarchy with these. And you can also use normal or comparison mode. Now the difference between these two data entry modes, the normal that you can see here highlighted in the purple, that's where it is just, it's public coding. Anyone who goes in and uses this coding tool and makes a coding decision, it will be publicly visible to everyone. So when you're doing, wanting to have reviewers, multiple reviewers coding items, you'll need to make sure that your coding tool is in comparison mode, which is indicated in red here with the 2 people that you can see there. And so that's when you're wanting to do things like double screening or double coding of items. And I will show you how to switch between the two a little bit later. Standard tools, so for things like data extraction or risk of bias, are shown in black. They can include multiple code types as well as multiple levels. Epi Reviewer allows you to have really complex coding structures, and they can also be in either normal or comparison data entry mode. And the administration coding tools are shown in blue. Now they can only be selectable or non-selectable codes, so but they can have multiple levels, and they can only be in normal data entry mode as well. By clicking on the name of one of the coding tools, this will show you the coding progress that's been made so far in that particular coding tool. So for example, here we see we've got 2 reviewers that have been double coding or double screening on title and abstract, and the items on the left with the green circle, these are the ones that have been completed, because when you're doing the comparison data entry, double coding, you do need to conduct a reconciliation to be able to mark items as complete. Whereas if you're in normal data entry mode, those items are marked complete automatically. And on the right-hand side, where the red circle is, this shows you how many items are incomplete. And this indicates that you probably need to create a comparison reconciliation report so that you can reconcile those items and mark them as complete. By clicking on any of the blue numbers that you see, you'll be taken to a list of those items only in the References tab, which is a really handy shortcut to know, just in case you needed to go in and check these particular items. In order to see the coding tools that you have, within your review, you just need to click on the green codes button that is located on the right-hand side. This is one of the major differences to Epi Reviewer 4. And so you just click on that green button and it will open up just as you would see in Epi Reviewer 4, and you're able to click on any of these arrows on the left-hand side to be able to expand those coding tools. Okay, so I'll now talk about importing references. And when I put out the call for participants for this webinar, a couple of people came back and said they'd like to know a little bit more about how to import specifically from Mendeley and also from Google Scholar. So I'm just going to briefly talk about that before I talk about how to import the items into Epi Reviewer. In Mendeley, what you would need to do is select the documents that you want to export, click on File, then Export. You'd need to change the Save As type, which is down the bottom, just under where you change the file name, and choose RIS as the exporting file type, and then save it to your device. If you're exporting references from Google Scholar, this can actually be really finicky. There isn't a way that I have found, and please do share it with me if you know how to do it. I haven't found a way to bulk export in a nicer, neater way than what I'm about to show you. Yeah, this is the best way I know of. So once you're logged into Google Scholar, conduct your search and then click on the star at the bottom of any item to save it into the My Library within Google Scholar. Then once you've saved the items that you want to export, click on My Library at the top right-hand side. Select the items you want, and I'm pretty sure that there would be a way to select all, but I'd only had one in this particular example. And then click on the Export button, which is the down arrow. Then you need to choose RefMan, and RefMan is that RIS, the same as Mendeley. It is that RIS file format, and then save it to your device. So that's the file format that you would need to use for Google Scholar. Once you log into Epi Reviewer Web, from the Review Home tab, from the Review Home page, this is the page that will load up whenever you log in, click on Import Items. The Import Manage Sources page is then displayed. So then you need to select File and then choose the import filter that you want. So this is really a really important step and where a lot of our customers go wrong. So for example, if you've exported from Mendeley or Google Scholar, or often a lot of any other reference management software, you would need to choose RIS as the file type. However, if you've exported from Web of Science, you will need to use the Web of Science import filter, and that's a really important point. Same too with PsycInfo, PubMed, and so on. Find your file on your device and then click Open. The number of items that Epi Reviewer has found within your file will be displayed. So just double check that that's the number that you're expecting for it to import. If you like, Epi Reviewer Web and Epi Reviewer 4 for that matter, allow you to put in the information of your search string, which really helps with just keeping track of the administrative side of any review that you're conducting. So you can enter the search string if you want to, which database that the source comes from, and any other notes that you have about the search if you wanted to do that. Then you can also click on the Show Preview button, which will actually show you, it will show you a preview of the items that you'll be importing. So it's always a good idea just to have a quick look and make sure that it does look like what you had intended. And then click Hide Preview if you wanted to collapse that. Once you've checked all that's fine, just click on the Import button and that will bring the items into your review automatically. If you want to import references from PubMed, you can either do it from the PubMed website, or we also have the capability to import items, search for items and import them directly from within Epi Reviewer. And so you do that by doing the same thing, clicking on from the Review Home page, click on Import Items, and then click on the PubMed tab. Type in your search terms, and I apologize for this ridiculous example. Click Search PubMed, and the items will be listed. So here you can see that it found 12,807 items for whatever reason. You can preview the items if you like. You can also select how many and which items that you want to include. Just bear in mind not to include too many. And then click Import to bring the items into your review. You can also manually create items if you want to, which is really easy to do as well. So from that review homepage, click on the black arrow next to Import Items and then click on New Reference. Enter your citation details in that window and just make sure though that you select the correct reference type, because that's going to determine which cells appear for you to be able to put the data in. And then when you've finished that, you can click Save and Close and it will automatically be included into your review. You can also have a look at the sources that you've imported from the Import Manage Sources section. And if you click on any of these blue imports, it will show the information for you if you wanted to check. And you can also change the details here if you wanted to. At any time when you're navigating through Epi Reviewer Web, the way that you can navigate back to the original page you were on, you click Close Back at the top right-hand side. Okay, now hopefully I'm not going through too quickly for you. I'll just take a quick drink, excuse me. As I said, if you've got any questions, please don't hesitate to butt in, otherwise there will be time at the end. Okay, managing duplicates in Epi Reviewer Web. The exciting thing I will just mention here is that with the latest update to Epi Reviewer the other day, we have actually changed the algorithm slightly. Now, I'm not the techie in our team, and you can find out more information about that, though, from our forums page on the Epi Reviewer Gateway. But I would just say it is more powerful and more intuitive. So to manage the duplicates within Epi Reviewer Web, you don't need to do the duplicates in a separate reference management software because we can do it for you in Epi Reviewer. You click on the Manage Duplicates button, which will open up this duplicates window. In order to find new duplicates in your list, preferably after you've imported all items, although now with this new algorithm, it's okay for you to click on the Get New Duplicates button if you make subsequent imports of items into your review. So you would click on Get New Duplicates. And what this does is it groups items of similar, that have been identified as similar references, and the groups will be displayed on the left-hand side. Now this example isn't an ideal one because these groups have already been completed. I've already marked the duplicates in these groups. But if they were incomplete and I needed to check them, they would be listed in white. How the algorithm works is that each item in the group is assigned a similarity score. So in each group, there is a master item, and the master item appears at the top here. And each of the subsequent items that have been identified as a possible duplicate are given that similarity score. So here you can see the similarity score is given 1, which means that it is most absolutely identified as a duplicate. The great thing about this this feature is that you can click the mark, by clicking the Mark Automatically button, you can automatically mark all of the potential duplicates that have been given a similarity score of 1 as a duplicate. And there's nothing better than clicking that button and seeing all of these white items, white groups turn into green. It's fantastic. So any incomplete groups will highlight the differences. So here you can see this particular item's been given a similarity score of 0.8439, and the differences are highlighted with varying shades from, I think it goes from yellow up to red. So the redder it is, the more likely that there is a potential non-duplicate. So see here, it's identified that there is a real difference between the authors listed here and also in particular with the title. And so that's why the similarity score is so low. To mark an item as a duplicate, obviously click a duplicate button. If it's not a duplicate, not a duplicate, and you can change the master within a group at any time. If you prefer, sometimes you might prefer the metadata that has been imported for one particular record as more complete or better than another, and that's when you would use the mark as master to change which one would appear as the item in Epi Reviewer. You can now adjust the similarity score within Epi Reviewer Web, and to do that, you would click on the arrow next to the Mark Automatically button and click Advanced Mark Automatically. In order to adjust that threshold, you could change it here. So where the 1 is, you would just click the arrow down to get to the threshold that you want. We do say that generally in terms of false positives, there shouldn't be many, if any, above 0.85. But there is a word of caution there about how low you put the threshold and getting potential false positives. And then once you've done that, you click on Start. And I will be putting out a video very soon. So if you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube channel or follow us on Twitter, then please do so that you can be notified of the video once I get it published. Okay, adding and editing coding tools and codes. I realise that time is marching on, so I'll try to be brief but thorough at the same time. It is possible to, in terms of the coding tools, we've already developed some for standard reviews and minimal reviews that you can automatically include without having to create your own coding tools. To do that, you would click on Edit Tools on the review homepage, which unfortunately I don't have there. Then click on Import Coding Tools and choose which one you would like. Then choose Proceed. We do also have a range of publicly available coding tools or code sets that we have already preloaded with a range of coding tools and codes. So here, for example, you see that we have a screen on title and abstract coding tool already available to you if you want to include that in your review. So you would come in here after clicking on Import Public Coding Tool, choose which one you want, and you can preview them by clicking on any of the names here, and then click on Import Selected down the bottom, which unfortunately is a little bit difficult to see here, I realise. And you may need to scroll down depending on which device you're looking at. I've actually zoomed out there for that example. You may need to scroll down, but once you find the green Import button, you can bring it straight into your review. Alternatively, you can create your own coding tools. And to do that, you can either click on Coding Tools on the review homepage, or you can expand your codes panel on the right-hand side and click on Edit Tools. Click Add Coding Tool. Select the tool type. So for example, whether it's a standard, screening, or administration coding tool, give it a name. Choose which data entry mode. So whether you want it to be publicly available coding or whether you want to do double coding, which would be comparison option. And then click Create. In terms of creating child codes, that's also really easy. You would click on the coding tool on the right-hand side where you want to create your child codes, then click Add Child. Select the code type. So if it's a screening coding tool that you've chosen, the only options are include or exclude. Type in a name. If you want to type in a description, that's optional, and then click on Create. In terms of the standard coding tools that we have, the codes for coding, the standard coding tool that we have available, you can choose either selectable, which will display a checkbox, or not selectable. You can also choose outcome, intervention, and comparison code types if you're wanting to put in numeric outcome data. We also have outcome classification codes for classifying the different outcomes. But if you were doing a predominantly qualitative synthesis, you would generally only use the selectable checkbox option, or not selectable. If you at any point need to edit your child codes, you can do that within the same space. You would click on the code on the right-hand side, click Edit Code, type in your new code name, and click on Update. And if you need to move any of the codes within your the tree of coding tools, you would click on the Move button, which will bring this up. Choose where you'd like to move it to within the available options. So here you can see I'm wanting to move it from qualitative into intervention. And then you click on Move. The Move button is there in blue, which unfortunately you can't see at the minute. You can also change a coding tool data entry mode. So say, for example, you started your review with a double screening and you had your screening on title and abstract in double screening mode, and you wanted to only double screen for the first 100 items, and then you want to change to normal data entry mode so that you can assign different items to people to screen, you would do that here. You would click on the coding tool on the right-hand side and then click Edit Coding Tool. And here where it says next to normal, the data entry mode, you would click on the red change button. Confirm that you want to do the change by clicking comparison. And so too the other way around. If it was in comparison mode and you want to change it to, which is the example I just gave, it was already in comparison mode, you want to change it back to normal, you would just click change and then confirm that you want to go to normal mode. In terms of viewing the references that you have within your review, you can also change how the References tab is displayed by clicking on View Options. You can, for example, change the page size. You can change which options are available here. Hang on just a moment. There we go. Okay. And you, as I said, you can change which options you have displayed on the References page and change the page size. If you want to view an item, you would click on Go, which is also quite different to, a little bit different in terms of how you view items from Epi Reviewer 4. So once you click on Go, this is what you'll see. This is the item details interface. So you have the item's title and abstract, as well as the coding tool. Now this is exactly the same as Epi Reviewer 4. The coding tools are listed on the left-hand side. And here you can see that all of the codes in this screening coding tool are selectable. So they have the checkbox, but they also have an info box. So even if you had a selectable code, you could also include, you could tick the checkbox, click on an info box, and then type any information, any free text that you want to assign to that particular code into the info box, and that will be saved in that item's record against that code. To navigate between different items, you would just use the navigation tools here, previous and next. But we also have the auto advance feature, which is brilliant, especially when you're screening items. So if you check that box when you're screening, as soon as you've made a coding decision here on the left-hand side, the item will automatically change to the next one in the list to screen without you having to click on next constantly. It may only save you a millisecond, but when you've got lots and thousands of items to screen at a time, those milliseconds add up. Different here to Epi Reviewer 4, if you're wanting to edit the record, you do now have to click on an edit button, whereas in Epi Reviewer 4 you didn't have to do that. So that's just a little tip there. Click on edit and then make sure you click on save once you've edited your item. Another feature that some of our users aren't aware of is that we do have a feature to be able to highlight relevant and irrelevant terms, which can be really, really useful for you when you're screening in particular on title and abstract. And to do that, you would just click this Show Terms button. In order to add terms to the list of relevant terms, you would just highlight. So here you can see I've highlighted flipped classroom as a relevant term. So I would have highlighted those two words with my mouse and then clicked on Add Relevant Term. And then I would have clicked on Show Hide Terms in order to be able to customize the phrases that I have shown. So because what Epi Reviewer does is, if you highlight more than one word to include it as a relevant phrase, it will put them in there as two separate words. So I would have had flipped and classroom. So I needed to click on Show Hide Terms, come over here and edit it to be able to say flipped classroom, flipped learning and high school, and then save those items once you've edited them. And then that will make sure that if the phrase appears in any of the titles or abstracts, that the phrase will be highlighted rather than the individual words. You can also add new terms here. You don't need to highlight them within your abstracts or titles. And if you want to have it as an irrelevant term, all you would need to do is uncheck that checkbox in the relevant column. You can also change the style, I should mention. For those people who've used Epi Reviewer 4 a lot before in the past, there's 4 different styles that you can choose from to see how things are highlighted, if that's something, if the way that it comes up bothers you in any particular way. Also available within these item details records is the ability to be able to search using Google, Microsoft Academic or Google Scholar by clicking on the Find On button there that's highlighted. And that will automatically open up a new tab or a new browser and take you straight to that record if it's able to be found by any of those 3 databases, which can just make finding PDFs a lot easier for you in your review lifecycle. Okay, creating coding assignments. So coding assignments are fantastic, especially when you're working as a team. It allows you to assign work and to track progress of those within your review team. Each assignment uses one code to identify the groups of references as well as which coding tools are being used for that particular assignment. You can also assign screening or data extraction codes to a coding assignment if you wanted to keep track of how you were going with a particular group of items to screen or to extract data from. So each assignment reports updated numbers for those that have been allocated to you or to other people, the number of items that have been started, and the number of items that are remaining to screen or to code. Now, we'll just say that this started column really does mean that just that. It means that the coding has been started, but it's not necessarily means that all of the coding within that particular coding tool has been completed. So just be aware of that little quirk. So these ones here, because they've got zeros in the remaining column, show that these particular items these assignments have been completed, whereas this one is ongoing because there's still 106 items that are in the remaining column. The assignments show up under the My Work tab on the review homepage. So as soon as you log into Epi Reviewer Web, you don't even need to go anywhere else. You can just click on the My Work button and then see the assignments that have been allocated to you, and then click on the remaining number that you've got there to be taken straight to a list of those items that you need to code. They also allow people to use the coding only interface. So if you've got members of your review that you want only to have access to that coding only interface, which is what you see down here at the bottom of the screen, then you need to set up the coding assignments first. So in order to do that, you can either do it manually or you can do it automatically. So to do it manually, you would need to first create reference groups and then create your coding assignments. You can also, to do it automatically, you would need to use this new distribute work function, which I think is magic. And then from the Collaborate tab, you can also create those comparison reports that you need to be able to reconcile between multiple reviewers who have coded the same items. So to create reference groups, once you're in the Collaborate tab, and so here you can see there's the review home button. So all we've done is clicked on Collaborate. You would click on Create Reference Groups, choose which items to include. So say, for example, in this example, we've got all items that haven't been coded using the Screen On Title and Abstract coding tool. Choose the percentage of references to include within the groups and how many groups you would like to have. Just as an aside, from personal experience, I prefer to leave the percentage at 100 and not muck around with that, because what often happens is that that's when you get people being given the same items accidentally when you don't want to. So just beware. And then choose where to create the codes. Now, it's really a good idea at the beginning of your review to set up an administration coding tool called allocations. And that way you can put your any of the groups that you create under that coding tool. And then click on Create. Another helpful tip is once you've created these groups, if you go into the Edit Coding Tools section, to immediately change the names of the groups to something unique so that you don't end up having multiple group ones, group twos for different stages of your review, because that can get so confusing. And that's where a lot of our support requests come from. So if you automatically change the names of the groups to something like Group 1 Screen On Title and Abstract, then you'll know exactly which group that's for, and some of that confusion will be alleviated straight away. So once you've created your groups, you would then need to create your coding assignments. So you can do that by clicking on Create Coding Assignment. Choose which reference group to assign. So here you can see I did just that. I renamed my groups to Group 1 Screen on TNA 10%. And by 10%, I mean I created 10 groups. So therefore I had, this is Group 1 is 10%. You then choose which coding tool, and you can see here's my coding assignment. So it's the Screen on Title and Abstract. And then you need to choose who's going to do the coding assignment. So which reviewer you're going to assign to that particular coding assignment. And then click on Assign. And so once that's done, the coding assignment will show up, and you'll see in this particular assignment, I have been assigned 18 items to code, and I haven't started yet because I have 18 remaining. I'd now like to demonstrate the work distribution wizard just really quickly. I do have, however, a YouTube clip which takes you through step by step on exactly how to do this. So I know that I'll be doing it really quickly, but you'll be able to view it afterwards. So I'll just quickly log in. Hopefully you can see my Epi Reviewer Web screen. Can someone please unmute and just confirm that you can?
I can.
Thank you so much. Okay, so I've logged into Epi Reviewer, and I'm going to go to the Collaborate tab, and I want to automatically create some coding assignments. So I'm going to use the Distribute Work Wizard, which is done by clicking on that button there. So here you want to select the references to code first, and I want to include anything that hasn't been coded using Screen on Title and Abstract. I want my included items, and I want 100%. Then what happens is the wizard makes you preview before you can continue. So you click on Preview. You can see that 265 items will be included within these assignments. If that's not right, then you know that there is an issue, and you'll need to have a look at that before you keep going. You can also see that my steps have been recorded here at the top. Click on Next, select the coding tool. So I want my reviewers to Screen on Title and Abstract. And because I've chosen that, and it's currently in comparison data entry, at the moment I've said one person should code each item, but the system has identified that that's incorrect because it knows that I want to do double coding. So that's just a little hint to you to make sure that you select the correct number of reviewers. If, however, this was actually correct and you wanted only one person to code, then you can use this change button to change the data entry mode to normal. But we don't want to do that. So we'll leave it at 2. And which reference group, where are we going to put our reference groups? I've already set up my allocations coding tool. And let's pop it under Screen on Title and Abstract Allocations. Again, my steps have been created here, and I'll click on Next. Now you need to select which reviewers are going to do the coding. So I'm going to say Stephen and Donald and myself, because why not? And you can now choose to distribute the work evenly, so where everyone gets the same number of items to screen, or you can choose manual. And this is where, say for example, you had someone that only had a limited number of amount of time to be able to do some coding, and you wanted to just give them, say, I don't know, 50 items to screen. You type in 50, click Add, and Stephen's been given 50. You can then choose to indicate how many items specifically you want these 2 other reviewers to screen, or you can just let the system do it equally and click on Distribute Remaining, which I'll do. So here you've got a preview. We've got Stephen's going to do 50, and Donald and myself are going to have 240 items each because we're just super lucky. And then it forces you again to click on Preview. So here you know that we've got one group, there'll be 2 allocations. Yep, that looks good. And click on Do It. Has a bit of a think. And now my coding assignments have been automatically updated, automatically put here at the top. These are the assignments that I've just created for myself, Donald and Stephen. And here you can see that, have they been put at the top? Yes, they have, beg your pardon, sorry. Here we can see that I haven't started, so I've got 215 remaining, but Donald has already screened 100 of them, and so he's only got 115 to code. So that was just a very, very quick demonstration of how the work distribution wizard works. As I said, it is available on YouTube to be able to watch if you want to be taking through it step by step again, or you can just go back and review the steps that I just took. Okay, line by line PDF coding. In order to do line by line PDF coding, obviously we need to upload PDFs first of all. So within Epi Reviewer Web, if you scroll down to the bottom of an item details record, you'll find the blue upload button. Click on that, select the file you want and click on open, and the file will then be displayed at the bottom of the item record, and it looks like this. In order to view the PDF, you would click on the green eye icon, which is highlighted in red at the moment. And if you made a boo-boo and you need to delete it, just click on the red trash icon there, which is highlighted in red. In order to do the line-by-line coding, first of all, within your items record, click on the green eye icon to display the PDF, and it will come up and look like this. So here you can see this is the item details page, and in the PDF tab you can now see the PDF that you've uploaded for that item within the item details record. Highlight the text that in the PDF that you want to code. So you might have a quote, or you might have a particular piece of text that you want to have coded against a particular code. Then click on the code on the left-hand side that this text should be applied to. And then click on this A symbol, and that is the highlight button. And what that does is as soon as you click on it, that text that you've highlighted will automatically be assigned to that code. And as long as your item is marked as complete, with the coding as complete, then that text against that code will be displayed in any of the reports that you create after you've done that, which is really, really helpful for when it comes time to synthesize your data and write up your review. If you're going through and you find that you don't have the codes that you need within your coding tool, Epi Reviewer Web does support inductive coding. So to add codes on the fly, you would click on the coding tool or the parent code where you want to add another code into. Then you would click on the plus icon, which is at the top left of the item details page. Choose which code type you want. Type in your code name here and a description if you want to, and then click on create. And that will automatically update within your coding tools list so that you can be able to use that code straight away. Again, at any time, you can view an item's coding record to be able to see what has been coded within that particular item. And you would just need to click on view to view the record for any of these coding tools. And once you do that, it'll come up as a report. And it does keep a thorough record of every coding decision made by any review members, which is really, really helpful. Okay, there are lots of different reports that can be generated within Epi Reviewer. You can conduct searches using the Search and Classify tab, clicking on New Search and choosing how to which way that you want to run your search. You can search on particular codes, you can search on particular coding tools, you can search for items that don't have any codes or a coding tool assigned to them, and then just click on Run Search. You can combine searches then. So you might be looking for all of the items that have two particular codes. So you would first of all conduct the search for each of those single codes. Then you would click on the checkbox on the left and then combine them using the AND Boolean operator there. You can also search for items that have a specific code by selecting the code within that codes panel that expands on the right-hand side of Epi Reviewer. So you would click on the code and then click the button with this code, and that will create a list within the References tab of all of the items that have that particular code. I'm aware that we've already reached midday and I'm still going. So if you need to leave, please, that's absolutely fine. But what I'll do is keep going with my presentation so that you get the full information that I have for you today. And if you need to access it later, then you can access it in the recording. In terms of frequency reports, you can do that by clicking on the Frequencies tab. The setup is slightly different to Epi Reviewer 4 if you're familiar with that. So first of all, you would need to select the coding tool or the parent code in the right-hand side, then click on the Set button so that it will appear here, and then click on Get Frequencies, which in Epi Reviewer 4 was located at the bottom, but here in Epi Reviewer Web, it's actually located at the top left. Frequencies are only retrieved for one level of hierarchy. So it works really, really well for example, screen on tile and abstract where you only have that one level. But you'll need to, if you're looking for things within your data extraction coding tool, you will need to potentially expand lots of different coding tools underneath that to be able to find what you're looking for. If you wanted to have a look at the list of items with any particular code, all you would need to do is click on the blue number, which will take you to a direct list of those particular items. So say, for example, for some reason you wanted to have a look at the items that were not in English language, you'd click on that 3 and you would be taken to a list of those exact 3 items within the References tab. You can also conduct cross-tab reports, which are really great, especially when you're analysing data for things like, how many different types of articles or journals were used, or as you can see here, different types of publications and in what years. And to be able to do that, you would select a parent code for the x-axis. So here I've selected year. So you would click it here, then click Set. Then you would select the y-axis over here, click that, and then click Set. And then you would click on the Get Crosstabs button, which again is located here at the top left instead of at the bottom. Again, at any time, if you want to have a look at all of the journal articles, for example, that were published in 2016 that you've coded, you would just click on that 20 and be taken directly to a list of those items. You can also filter by a specific code if you wanted to. So say, for example, here I coded different types of empirical research. If you wanted to have a look, for example, at all of the quantitative studies, you would set the filter there and you'd be able to see the numbers just for the quantitative studies that you've coded within that particular review. Coding reports are very similar to the coding report function in Epi Reviewer 4. To do these, you would click on the coding report button and choose which coding tools to include, which are down here. So the coding report will only allow you to choose the top level coding tools that you've got. You can't choose any of the codes that are available underneath that. It will list, however, the details of the codes that have been coded underneath these coding tools. You need to choose then which items to include. Now, with the latest update of Epi Reviewer, this page has changed slightly. So whereas before you would need to pre-select the items to include for this report, you can do that and click on selected items. But now it provides you with the option of selecting this page, which will then include all of the items that were on that particular page, or you can choose this whole list, which should be all of the items within your review. Then, if you wanted to create an interactive evidence gap map, this is where you would do it. So you would just tick that JSON report button to be able to do that. But if you're not wanting to do that, just ignore that step. Then click on Get Report, and you can either click on the View Print button, which will open a new tab and it will display the report where you can choose to save or print it. Or you can click the blue Save icon and save it as a HTML file. But you do need to click the Get Report button before you try to save or view it, otherwise it won't work. A quick question report is similar to a configurable report in Epi Reviewer 4, but It's at the moment, it's not quite as powerful. It doesn't have quite the same level of editable content that you can create in Epi Reviewer 4. You can, though, create a configurable report still in Epi Reviewer 4, save it, and then you can open it in Epi Reviewer Web. So that is still a possibility. And we are constantly working on enabling Epi Reviewer Web to have this functionality, and it will be available in the future. So to create a quick question report, you would select your items to include, click the black arrow next to the coding report button, and click on Quick Question Report. Here you can choose any parent or question code from any of the coding tools to include. So here you can choose multiple different codes from different coding tools to be able to include. You can choose whether to include any of the text that you free typed into those info boxes and any line-by-line PDF coding which you highlighted, which would be through ticking this Show Coded Text button. And then click on Get Report. Again, if you want to view it, click View Print, or if you want to directly save it, which I'm pretty sure we can't see there, you click on the Save button. If you click View Print, the report will appear below, and this is an example of what you would see using this Quick Question Report function. Once you click on View Print, it'll open it in a new tab so that you can save or print it. Or alternatively, you can just click that Save icon there and save it as a HTML file, because then you'll be able to open it in either Word or Excel. And that's what I do in terms of when I'm wanting to conduct my data analysis. I always save it as HTML and open it in Excel. It is possible that if you've got multiple codes located within your columns, so say for example here you can see I have multiple different technologies that these studies used. You may choose to edit how the data appears within your spreadsheet. That's completely up to you. You're able to do that as soon as you've exported the data. You'll have it to be able to change how you view it in Excel. I do also have a YouTube video available which shows you how to create one of the more complex configurable reports in Epi Reviewer 4, and that's available on our YouTube channel if you were interested in that. Okay, I just wanted to briefly mention interactive evidence gap maps. If you haven't come across them before, I think they're brilliant because they enable you to show the various features of your body of evidence of your review by mapping your items against 3 or more dimensions. So here, for example, you can see an evidence gap map created by UNICEF in collaboration with the Campbell Collaboration on child welfare. And this is a mega map of reviews that have been conducted, of 302, in fact, systematic reviews that have been conducted on child welfare. Here you can see the information is provided with 3 dimensions. So it's got the x-axis, the y-axis, and you've got information located within the cells. You are able to filter the information even further by clicking on the filter button, and clicking on any of these cells here will display a reader, will display the exact items that are associated with that particular cross-section of data. So for example, in this particular cell here, these bubbles represent the number of studies that were reviews that were reviewing early childhood health interventions and nutrition. And the colours, they've chosen to use quality, so the review quality of low, medium and high. When you click on it, it will show you all of the systematic reviews that have been produced based on nutrition and early childhood intervention. And this is a free app that you're able to use. And it's really, really easy. People are flabbergasted by how simple it is to use. We've used it also to create a living evidence map for studies that are to do with COVID-19, which is available through that link there. I do also have YouTube clips which take you through step by step how to create these evidence gap maps. And all you'd need to do is create one of those coding reports after you've finished your coding, create a coding report, export it as a JSON file, import it into EPI Mapper app, and you've got a few selections, and then it creates it automatically, and it's available as a HTML file. So you're able to either upload it to the internet for other people to use, or you can just have it as a file that you can use yourself. But once the data is exported from Epi Reviewer, it's publicly available for you to be able to share. You can also include lots of information for people about the map that you have, and provide further links to publications that have resulted from your review, as well as information. You can now provide information on how people could even submit a study to be included in your review, which is particularly useful for keeping reviews up to date. And it's not, unfortunately, not on that example screen I have on there, but there has been an update to EpiMapper since I did this particular screen. So you're able to do that now. So that is a very quick, I know, overview and introduction to Epi Reviewer Web. Hopefully I've been able to provide you with a little bit of insight into how the functions work. We do have a lot more videos available showing different steps. We have a manual available for Epi Reviewer 4. At the moment, we don't have a printed document available for Epi Reviewer Web, but we do have individual fact sheets that we can share with you. We've uploaded some of them already to the frequently asked questions page, as well as to the manuals page. Or you can always just send us an email and ask us any questions that you might have. I'm also available for conducting, if you've got a review team and you're wanting to look at specific, really specific features of Epi Reviewer, more than happy to conduct information sessions or workshops for your review team. Just get in touch. So that is that. I will stop sharing my screen and now give you time, if there's still people here, give you time to ask any questions that you might have. Hang on, stop sharing. There we go. Ask any questions that you might have of me. Otherwise, thank you so very much for being with me today. And I hope that I didn't speak too quickly, but I will share the recording with you, and I will also provide the slides as a PDF. Or I can also provide them as a PowerPoint if you wanted to run your own little training session with your own team. That's absolutely fine as well. So I've got a question from Martin. I hope you have a nice weekend too. Wanted to ask if Epi Reviewer currently has functionality to calculate inter-rater reliability. No, unfortunately it doesn't, but that's fairly easy to do outside of Epi Reviewer. So to export collaboration, what I'm going to do is share my screen again with you so that I can show you how to do that really quickly. Share my screen. Okay, I'll go back here. Okay, so I'm in the Collaborate tab within Epi Reviewer to create that reconciliation report to show you what people have coded. You would click on the Create Comparison button, choose the reviewers that you want to include. So hopefully I'm choosing people with examples of screening they've already done. Let's choose me, and let's hope I've done, oh no, we know I haven't done anything. Let's choose Jeff. Screen on title and abstract, create comparison, then go down to the bottom of the screen, and that's it. I keep getting confused because it's American for some reason, the date. So here is my comparison report. You can see screen on title and abstract. These are the reviewers I chose, today's date. Click on view. It will take a few minutes to think about it, and it may take a little longer because I'm connected to you all, but we'll see. And it will show the exact numbers of agreement and disagreement down below. So here we can see, we've only got one, but that's okay. So here it shows the number of items that have been coded by both Stephen and Donald, which is 123. So we've got 123 items that they've both coded. Now, we show the statistics on both full and on include, exclude only. So if you were at the very beginning of your review and you were wanting to do the inter-rater reliability accurately, and you're wanting to also develop your your review team's understanding of what the various codes mean and how to apply them, it's a good idea to use it on full. And here you can see Stephen and Donald have agreed 58 on 58 items completely, but however they've disagreed on 65. So in order to reconcile those, you would need to click on reconcile. And again, it's going to think about it for a couple of seconds, and then it's going to bring it up. Now, this is where you would actually do the reconciliation. This isn't where you would print off the reconciliation report. I'll show you that shortly. But this actually enables you to not have to necessarily do that reconciliation report if you don't want to. So here we have all of the disagreements between Stephen and Donald. And what you would do is just work through systematically through the list as you would do outside of the software if you were doing it manually. You are able to see the abstract, you're able to see the title, and then you could click on have a look and see. You can see here include based on title and abstract, and Donald thought exclude on target group. And then once you've made your decision, my advice is that you click on complete and lock so that no other changes can be made to that particular item. You can click on complete, but then what happens sometimes is later down the track, you know, someone else might for whatever reason, be given that item to code, and then you do another comparison report and they have a different decision. Sometimes problems can happen there. So if you're absolutely sure that's what you want to choose, click complete and lock, and then that decision is final. You can also, not within this particular example, but you can also if you were wanting to reconcile data extraction codes and coding tools, you could click on the code and it will bring up any information that person has decided on, but unfortunately I can't show you that here. So you would just work through the list. And so let's say, for example, we're going to say that Donald's correct. I'm just going to click, I'll click complete and lock. You can uncomplete it. So anything that you've completed will be marked in green. So it's really easy to see which ones you need to reconcile still. And you can uncomplete it in case you did make a mistake. So even if you do click on complete and lock, it's not absolutely final. There is a contingency plan in case you make a mistake. So we'll close back. Now, to show you how to produce that report, you would click on the Run button instead. Now, at the moment, we've got no code selected. So once you've clicked on Run, expand your coding tool panel on the right-hand side. Click on the coding tool you're wanting to create the comparison report for. And now you can see that coding tool has been selected. And then click on Run. Again, it's going to take a few seconds for the information to be retrieved, and it will open a new tab. And here you see all of the decisions that have been made by these two particular coders. So if you were wanting to, for whatever reason, conduct your reconciliation outside of the software, you could easily do that. You could just produce this report, print it off, and then you have space to write the agreed version there, and then you could if you then wanted to do it within the software, you could afterwards or not, as the case may be. To save the information, you can right-click and click print, and then hopefully your printer is, you have the option to either save it as PDF, print to PDF, or you have a printer that you can print it out with. You can also select all, but I haven't found great success with that personally. It might just be me. So there you go. That's how you would do your reconciliation. Was there something else I was going to say about that? I'm not sure. All right, I'll flick back to see if there's any other questions. Back to here. Oh, good, excellent. Priority screening and text mining. Yes, it has been included. However, I would perhaps need to provide you with more information about that after this session. There is more information available on our gateway. I'll just show you. Here's the gateway. You can find information in the forum announcements. Sergio has written a very comprehensive forum post about all of the different changes that have been made now to Epi Reviewer Web, including setting up priority screening. There's been a change to the quick coding reports, which I showed you about, being able to now select whether you want to see just a page or a whole list, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to advise that I hope it's okay, I'll advise that you go and read that, and if there's any questions still, just shoot an email through to Epi support about the text mining and the priority screening there, Martin. I'll just go back and have a look again. Excellent. While importing citations, is there any way to label source name at a later point if due to some error it was not saved correctly? Sabina, do you mean the name of the file that you imported, or do you mean the name of a particular item, if you're still there? Oh, yes, you are. Either way, you should be able to change either. Let's have a look. Okay, so this is just a demo review that we've got here that we use. So if we go to review home, we'll go to sources. No, we're not going to do that. We're going to go to review home, we're going to go import items, and we're going to go to manage sources. That's the classier way of doing it. Double check. No, good. Oh, lost my screen. Here we go. Too many things at once. Okay, so here we have one of my sources. Change the source name. Okay, I've answered the question. Yes, you can definitely change a source name if for some reason you don't want it to be called some random name that you have. You can also change the information in the items as well. So if we go back to that, go to references, click on a random reference to change the item's name. Oh, I'll just turn that off. But there's a nice example though of how the irrelevant terms show up when they're shown up in red. You would just click the edit button and then you're able to change in here, but I won't do that. I won't save it, obviously. I mean, it's just a demo, doesn't really matter, but you would just click save or save and close, and then that information would be saved for you. Okay, going back. Hopefully that answered your question. I'll just double check. If not, then I will thank you so very much again for being here today, and apologize again for my enthusiasm and very quick speaking. I know it's a bit of an issue, but yeah, just email us at Epi Support if you've got any questions. Again, more than happy to run further information sessions, and I'm also more than happy for you to share this information, share this webinar, share the PowerPoint and the slides with your team in case they need it as well. So I'll stop sharing and hope you have an absolutely wonderful weekend. I'll hang around for a few more minutes in case anyone has any other questions, but otherwise, see you soon, hopefully.